Yeah, I wanted to be police myself because I wanted to help people. That was the whole thing. It was all about helping people and trying to make things better. See, I knew from a little boy that black people were in poverty more so than white people in the United States of America. I knew that we were having a much harder time. I was really confused about why it was like that and why we were hated so bad coming up as a child. I couldn't figure that out. So I had this thing, I wanted to change it for us. I wanted to try to do something to maybe awaken us and to show white people that we weren't all bad. Because I figured that for some reason we were being penalized for something that we had done to be in that kind of position. And, though I don't feel today that we need to show anybody anything outside of ourselves, I think what we need to show now is our own love and concern for each other in order to survive this onslaught of the killing of black men and women by the police. I don't, like I said, this is very tricky because you don't want to demonize the police because all police aren't bad. And and at the same time, you don't want to sit here and defend them completely because you can't. Because it's up to the police to root out bad police. You all know who are the police that like to rough up little kids and cause problems in the neighborhood and chase people and shoot at people for nothing. You know the good and the bad cops. You know them. So if you sit there and you just let them continue to stay in your departments, knowing that they're troublemakers, then it makes everybody look bad. It makes all of you look bad because we don't know who's who. We know that some of you all want to help, we hope, and others want to hurt. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to back up out of that because this is about, it's kind of difficult to explain why the police are doing this, why this is happening, because I'm not in their head. But I do know that people with badges and without badges can be bullies and harass people and be bad people. It's a lot of bad police. It's a lot of good police. We know that. It's a lot of bad people. Black people. It's a lot of good black people. We all know that. So for black people to go against the police in an act of defiance because of the bad police is not good for anybody. That doesn't help anybody. That's hurting everybody. So we've got to figure out then why is this happening and what we can do about it to stop it. Now, even though these are horrible events, the event of Ferguson and New York and South Carolina and Baltimore and Atlanta and all over this nation, black people are being slaughtered by the police. So, you think about it and you wonder what is happening and what you can do about it and what should be done about it and what's making it happen. So it gets deep, it gets thick, it gets nasty trying to figure out what's making this happen. I'm going to go back. It's got to be intentional or a coincidence that it's happening so constant and seems to me consistent. Either it's a plan or it's an apparition. It's just something that's happening that nobody can understand. Why it's happening back to back to back to back to back. It's almost like saying to the people, come on now, revolt. We want you to revolt so we can kill you. That's what a lot of black people are thinking. And a lot of young people, older black people, a lot of young people are ready to respond to that. I think it's a death walk. Better yet, a death march. I think that some kind of way we're being manipulated and led into a massive trap to respond with violence against the police in America, in the United States of America. Well, I'm going to take this back now because we're talking about the incidents and why it's happening and all that kind of stuff, but we need to talk about the cause. We need to get down to the cause of it and understand that, like I said, the layers are deep and entrenched. And you can't just look at one talking point. Well, the police are killing black people, or black people are criminals. You got to look at the cause and the effect, the how and the why, the when and the where, and finally, the who. My analysis of black people in America, in the United States of America today, is a tragic one. It's an analysis of a group of about 50 million people caught up in an abyss of poverty and crime. So before we start to really look at the police, let's look at something else. Poverty. That's the one. See, that is the disease. It's a disease of not having. It's a disease of wanting. It's a disease of desperation. Poverty creates anger, frustration, desperation, jealousy, hate, envy, lies, robbery, murder. Poverty is the disease that brings about all of these horrible elements that form in the mind of the impoverished. What am I saying? And some people would say, well, you know, the poverty is not, that's not making these people commit crimes. They could go get jobs. They could get an education. That's always the response, jobs and education. And it's the reason it's the response is because it's probably the right response. Education will get you a job and get you out of poverty. I think we've got to look at the education. It's not an education in America, especially in the black community, that prepares you for work. It really prepares you for the street because there is no work. Well, no, well, there are jobs out there. What I'm saying to you is this. Let's do the numbers. If every black person in America that's able, of age and willing, had a college degree, would all of them be able to find a job? No. Is that the fault of the United States of America? Sort of, kind of. Not completely, but sort of, kind of. Okay. Why do you say that, Romano? Because there are not enough jobs for people to feed their families. And if there are not enough jobs, just like I said, if every black person in America that is able and of age to have a job, had a college degree and went to go and get a job because they want a job, could they get one? The answer is no. There are not enough jobs to go around for the entire nation. That's why we're caught in the abyss of poverty. I know many college graduates that don't have jobs. And if they do have jobs, they're working in the same type of jobs that the people with no education have. Restaurants, fast food, minimum wage jobs, college grads. What I'm saying is that there aren't enough jobs to go around. And when you do the analysis on it, you can find out in the black community that when it all comes down, there are going to be about 20 million black people without jobs, even if all of them were qualified and had the ability to go to work. They still couldn't get a job because they're not there. That means that all of these people now have to become entrepreneurs. They got to come up with something. They got to create something on their own so that they can develop a business and a life to feed themselves and their families. And that requires a lot of capital. Not all the time, but many times, most of the time, you've got to have some capital to to be an entrepreneur and create a business. Now, we have some exceptions to the rule. We always have had. There are people that can go out here and they're able to, get it. I mean, some people have got a little bit more talent than others. Everybody doesn't have the same amount of talent, but many of them do the best that they can. But in a world where you do have talent, but limited opportunities and no jobs, and you're stuck in poverty in some some city like Chicago or Baltimore where projects and these type of communities exist where there's no money in the community, in the whole community. Everybody's suffering. So you got a warehouse of people suffering that have nothing and no jobs, food stamps, some of them, probably most of them, $200 a month, unless they're loaded with children, food stamps, no jobs, but they got to live. Even the ones that have the job still can't pay their bills because minimum wage don't pay lights, gas, water, phone, insurance, rent, food, clothes. $7.25 don't do that. You got to do something else. And if you got kids and you're making $7.25 and you got to work 2 jobs, now you got to pay a babysitter. So you working to pay the babysitter to keep the kids so you can go to work. I mean, it's a difficult situation. People are able to do it because black people are resilient. We're able to make things happen. But our opportunities are scarce in the making of these things, in making these things happen. The opportunities are scarce. The help is far and in between. Very little help because nobody's got nothing. So poverty is involved. It's a lot of tentacles to poverty. Being in poverty will make you depressed. Being in poverty will make you angry. Being in poverty will make you frustrated. Being in poverty will make you lie. Being in poverty will make you steal. Being in poverty will make you kill. So poverty in the black community breeds the criminal element. And then it's in an abyss. It's like in one place. So all of the impoverished are together and all they can do is covet each other for what you have. Your TV in your house, your computer, your jewelry, your car, your clothes, tennis shoes, And the next thing you know, your house is broken into, or you're robbed. Somebody stole something from you or stole your identity and committed these crimes that we commit against one another. It's called black on black crime. And then you look at us and you label us as criminals that we are because of the crimes that we commit against one another daily, constantly, and consistently, every day, all over the United States of America. Well, as we've discussed the police, and now we're talking about poverty. And as we go through this series of this compilation, this series of videos that I'm going to record about these issues and do the best that I can to get you to see this point that I'm trying to make and to unravel the layers of the confusion and the brilliance of evil, we'll go here. Poverty, frustration, desperation, anger, hate, jealousy, lies, steal, kill. This is what poverty causes. This is the effect of poverty. This is the effect of poverty in the black community. This is the effect of poverty in the black community that brings about black on black crime. With that being said, then what is poverty? Poverty is crime. See? Poverty is crime. It is criminal for a nation to not recognize this affliction from a group of people that have been in the United States for more than 450 years as slaves, indentured servants, impoverished people. A government that does not recognize this and views it as crime, poverty, the impoverished are criminals. If you think that I'm mistaken, then check this out. You walk down the street, and you don't have no money, and you stand in one place, that's loitering. That's a crime. You're broke, you don't have no money. You're tired of walking. You want to sit down somewhere. You're homeless. That's a crime. It's a crime to be homeless. It's a crime not to have nothing. It's a crime to not have ID on your person. It is a crime to be a vagrant, to have nowhere to go, so you go and try to seek heat or air or something for comfort so that you can sleep for the night before you have to get back on the trek tomorrow to nowhere. Poverty is crime. Poverty is criminal. And the United States government is responsible to do something about it, opposed to locking up 2.5 million people, 85% of them black, mostly for crimes of money.